It's 2024, and there are more ways than you can even imagine how big data is in your life every day. Think about your Uber that you just ordered during rush hour with a surge pricing. It's calculating how many people are around supply, and it's doing it pretty darn quickly to get the right answer. So let's go back 60 years to airlines in the 1960s. Pricing, if you didn't know, changed a lot slower 60 years ago. The 60s is when the airline industry first introduced automated ticket booking, which is done by computers, no more pen and paper. And within 20 years, they started implementing algorithms that can predict what the supply demand would be, and as a result, what the value of that should be squeezed out. And these algorithms were slow. They had to be compiled manually after someone manually looked at the data to figure out what algorithm there was to write. So, as a result, your pricing on your airline seat may be changed once a week. Because how would you process all of those new airline ticket sales and all that data relevant to how many people are on the flight? What did you get per seat on the flight? What was the loss on the flight? None of that was possible. Now let's get into the 90s and the 2000s, the internet. Even then, the data wasn't fast enough. Only at this point in time, prices updated 2 times a week. If I remember correctly, Sunday is when all the data was downloaded. On Monday, it was all uploaded. And by end of day Tuesday, it was analyzed for price changes by Wednesday. And then the same thing would happen by Saturday to go pricing for the next Monday. Very tedious. But why did it take that long? It actually wasn't the human element reviewing the data. It was the element of uploading and transferring data. The billions, trillions of rows of data over time of history of updating prices, and then now factor in the speed of computers, that is why you end up with the ability to do it 2 times a week. Now, obviously, 2024, we have Uber, like I mentioned, we have Lyft, we have, I think even Wendy's is doing surge pricing now in supply and demand. So it's everywhere. Big data drives economic value. The faster data can move, the faster money can be made. And consequently, the more money that is made. So, why am I going all over this? Well, there's a company called Salesforce, if you haven't heard of them. They're the OG of the CRMs. They actually did a good job, still in business, innovating, and aren't being left in the dust like a lot of other tech companies, SaaS companies. So they were diversifying. CRMs are boring. CRMs have been around for better half of 15 years, and they're cookie cutter. It's a template. It's not fancy. It's old. Now, how are businesses keeping in business? Well, businesses with money want to develop their own AI. They don't want to rely on the likes of OpenAI, ChatGPT, BART. I think Elon Musk has one now too. I don't remember what it's called. But by having all these different AIs, they're saving money and they're building their own proprietary formula. What many people, and I did not know this 3 years ago when I started getting very well versed in this, is getting data to work with one another. The data isn't the magic. I only just learned this a couple years ago. It's the network, the visualization, the ability for a layperson in your enterprise to take this data that a traditional math or statistic or computer nerd would have to do themselves, where Karen in HR can do it to figure out retention of clientele of employees. So why is it worth $11 billion, and how does that transform enterprise AI forever? So this has been in the works. If I can get my tab to go, yeah. So here we see over the last, I think I published this on the 17th when I recorded this. I'm only just editing it and publishing it now. So about a week, um, they are close to buying a company that has an algorithm, $11 billion. And the question is, why? Well, big data management is why. So I'm going to go over what big data management is. I'll go over a little bit what Salesforce is, which I imagine most people watching this video would know, but I'll still go over it. What is Informatica? That's the exciting one that you guys probably do not know. And as I was touching on before, what is Salesforce big problem as of modern day? What is the big data solution? And just in summary of how this makes you money. So, what is big data management? In the simplest of terms, it's integrating, storing, and processing data in your business operations. And as I mentioned before about Karen up in HR, Karen doesn't know how to write Python script in their warehouse to extract the data. So we, as data science and companies, need to create fast ways, not just a way for it to be visualized. We need to make it instant, because what good is getting an Uber ride when someone wants an Uber, but then it takes 10 minutes to calculate the cost? I would never order the Uber if it took 10 minutes. Neither would you probably. And why does this work? Well, visualization would never work if it wasn't for having cloud architecture, the security of the data, and the overall warehousing of the data. All of this, if any of these are missing, you're going to have problems. Obviously, we know what cloud is. I mean, warehousing, we can assume is how you store things. Security is one people don't think of, though. Because when you want your cloud and your data visualization to pair together, it needs to pull the data quickly, which means it would need to have good security to be pre-written to let it pull it quickly. So in other words, if you suck at your security, eventually someone will probably hack into your cloud, because the data visualization gives it instantaneous access. Because unfortunately, that is computers all the way from the start. They were meant to share information. So it's kind of boring, but